Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. It's Friday, TG, for that. Thank God it's Friday. My guest this morning, a couple of lawyers. Evans Ufeli, he's a political affairs analyst as well. Good to see you again, Evans. And also, I beg your pardon. I now understand what was happening. I was speaking to, Uche, and I was... So there you go. Let me fix that. Uche Ono.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
It's a pleasure to see you, have you again.
Thank you very much, Uche.
Thank you very much.
And a very regular customer. I don't know why I went to face another guy.
It's because it's Friday.
Because it's Friday. Thank you very much, Evans. Evans Ufeli, political analyst. Uche Ono, by the way, rights activist. But there's a sense in which at certain stages of the conversation, you could exchange those two. At certain stages of the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at Senator Dino Melaye's recall, the whole exercise. INEC has announced that, look, they're kickstarting the process on the last day of April, that's the 28th. And after that, we'll then look at the last Saturday. And then we'll go to the last Saturday of May as the next stage for the actual yes or no referendum. But as simple as that sounds, there's a lot of water that has to pass under the bridge before we even get there, right? It's a straightforward enough, the whole process of recall is a straightforward enough operation from the beginning. You just have to get enough signatures. But when we say just have to get enough signatures, INEC is showing us that it's an involved process.
Yes.
Now, there are those who are saying that, well, we're starting, but I don't know that we'll see the end of this. Hello, there are laws, there are procedures, there are processes. So why are people saying we might not actually be able to see the end of it? Now, everything depends on Section 69 of the Constitution, but lawyers in front of me are explaining that you've got to read that in conjunction with Section 68, in particular subsection 2. Let me give you the first shot at explain to us why Section 68, subsection 2 might indeed throw a spanner in the works.
Well, you know that the recall process, as laid down by the Constitution, is clear but not simple. It's clear but not simple in the sense that Section 69 have all the procedures upon which a senator can be recalled at any point where there is a petition against him, yes. And then the petition is submitted to INEC, and INEC transmits and all that. But the issue here now is that in Dino Melaye's case, first of all, let us even backtrack to the effect that the Court of Appeal judgment that was just delivered, the senator is already on the process of appealing
to the Supreme Court.
Okay, to the Supreme Court, which in such case, there's going to be a stay of execution of that judgment. So even that 28
are you taking that for granted just because he made the move there? I mean, they couldn't throw it out, that lacking in merit, they will have to see it.
They will have to. It has to be heard. Okay, it has to be heard proper. So that is one of the hurdles for which we are still going to go through. And also, given that you are looking at how many months is left for his tenure to exit, and all that. So when you put that aside,
INEC has released the timetable to resume the process. At the same time, Senator Dino Melaye has headed to the Supreme Court.
Yes, the court has ordered that the process, continues. Okay, the court order. Yes. So and now appealing. You are now the senator said he's going to appeal because he still have some options of appeal, and the court will have to hear that proper. Now back to Section 68. Which you have to Section 68, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which you have to read in sync with Section 69. Because what most people do, they just go to Section 69 and look at the recall process and they move on from there. But Section 68, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, creates a kind of a verification process in-house in the city.
I was going to say this last Saturday of April is for the verification by INEC of all the signatories.
Yes, that's INEC's procedure. That is Section 69.
Okay.
Section 69 of the Constitution, chronicling the procedure. But even when that succeeds and there is a referendum and referendum succeeds, okay, and INEC now transmits INEC will have to transmit all the evidence that they have complied with law to the National Assembly. That's what Section 68, subsection 2 is saying. And when you bring that, the National Assembly will now give effect to that record. That is to say, they are going to get it under a democratic process for which you have nay or whatever. And if INEC to that effect does not affirm by Section 68, subsection 2, then you have a blockage there. And if you look at the political stratosphere and political brigandage, you begin to see Dino Melaye as a party in this arena in the National Assembly who, for want of what to say or do, we cannot begin to say, okay, the National Assembly, the whole House, will decide to give effect to it or we decide to, discard it. Okay? So, but that is important. Yes, they must give effect to it. It is. And if they don't give effect to it, it stalls the process at that level.
Okay. Now, Evans, the way it's been explained, and thank you very much for this explanation, if the whole process has been rolling and, transparently, and now it rolls up to the next procedural junction, which is back into the House, can you see the House saying, nah, because of the political warfare that's going on, we don't think you like us, we're just going to stay here and say no to all those signatures? Is that something that a responsible assembly would be able to do?
Well, it depends on what you mean by being a responsible assembly. All they need to do is to X-ray, all the processes as laid down in our constitution. Like they might like to come up with the issue of determine what loss of confidence means, because that's one of the grounds that say that a National Assembly member who loses confidence of his constitution, but the Constitution did not go to define what that means.
Loss of confidence.
So now, their own way, or by way of camaraderie, they will always like to protect themselves and begin to look at inward and say, what actually triggered off this record process? What offense has he really committed? Because you don't just use it, politically motivated, which we cannot rule out, going by what is happening in that state. So members of the national, they always have a way of, protecting themselves.
You see, protecting yourself,
yes,
I hear
because
you.
If they do, it will create a leeway. It will create a leeway for anybody that just come up and lay allegations. It's just like accusing a judge, a serving judge, of having compromised the judicial position. You have to prove it. So may coming alone to say they might begin to review all the processes. That's what it means, as my Lele friend said, giving effect to all these processes, whether they actually comply in line with the processes laid down.
Yeah. Now, so in other words, it almost sounds, I know you are speaking directly from the Constitution.
Yes.
It almost sounds as if the National Assembly has oversight over due processes of the court. Even though you never said that. Because this whole business of proof, as you have said, that they might, for example, want to examine the matter of proof. Who is the expert at determining proof, if not the court system? Where are these?
There are three institutions involved in this exercise. The National Assembly, the INEC,
yes,
and then which other one? So all of them must be carried along. If you perform your own, the other will perform their own.
Yes. So
I think the essence of this is to ensure checks and balances too. Checks and balances.
Indeed, checks and
Doctrine
balances.
of checks and balances is very, very germane to democracy.
So I suppose from your, would you therefore
That's
say...
the intention of the framers of the Constitution.
Indeed.
Yes.
Would you therefore say that if the only thing that they probably won't be now able to say they want to do oversight and want to determine on their own would be if the Supreme Court had pronounced. Surely they're not going to go that far and say, look, is that what the Supreme Court said? Bring it to us, let's see whether we like it or not.
You remember that what he is contending at the court is for the court to give a perpetual injunction and ask that these processes be stopped. That's what he's doing. And now the appeal court have said, we have looked at the matter.
It has to
Please,
continue.
and I continue.
Yes.
Okay, now, when it's good, because ordinarily, in the process of recall, the court is not supposed to be a party in the process by the Constitution. The court was dragged into it by the senator, Dino Melaye. Because he went and asked the court to stop them. He also brought a relief that the 90 days window within which they are supposed to conduct this as expired. The court ruled and said that once you go to court, time stops running. Time is frozen. Therefore, you cannot be in court and now use the court's time to now say the time has lapsed. Okay? So at this stage, what we need to get clear is that the Constitution never envisaged that the court will be dragged into the process. But now that the court is in the process, okay, what will happen is that the Supreme Court will look at it and decide. If the Supreme Court asks INEC to go ahead, INEC will go ahead. But then INEC have to go ahead on certain conditions because you still have to now get verification. And you know there's an accusation that most of the
When you say verification, a verification of the signatures.
verification of the signatures.
Yes. So the signatories are supposed to come forward and identify and verify the signature.
it. Then before you now move to the stage of the referendum, for which you are going to vote yes or no. Now you have simple majority is what is required. 51% is
so
what is required.
We can look forward to some. These are
after that 51%. After that 51% is gotten, and you are moving to the next stage, and you succeed at the next stage, and you get to the National Assembly. The National Assembly must give effect by Section 68, subsection 2, to whatever you have done from beginning to that stage when it's at the National. And the giving effect means you must provide evidence of these things you have done. You must provide and make sure that they look at it in vis-a-vis how transparent the system was. Even the names submitted, because we had the allegation that names of dead persons, even the former dead governor of the state is among the signatories and all that. So that process must be seen as...
okay, before I come to you again, Evans, good morning, Yakub. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, sir. And then good morning to gentlemen in the studio.
Sure.
Shibiori, for me, the way this case is going, I don't see it skate through for some reason. Number one, the senator in question, as one of your guest rightly said earlier, he made sure that he dragged the judiciary into the issues, which is not supposed. And then when he thinks that he's going to be succeeded by judiciary state that the situation should be stopped, now the judiciary make a pronounce that the INEC should continue. You know why I got a problem with this station we found ourselves? I wish this kind of station came through so that it will send a good message to our senator and House of Representatives to do what we ask them to go to that place to do it. After saying that, when they finish all the rigmarole, all the 14 going on in that constituency, the only place that they can be able to ascertain is that when they now return the case back to the National Assembly, National Assembly should make a pronunciation on whether the process is right or not. I want to ask you, the kind of National Assembly we have now, do you think that they are going to say that the process is okay? I'm very, very sure when they return the case to the National Assembly will rather throw it out. And then the senator will still continue remaining. I want a station whereby our constitution will be saying in that respect. We don't need National Assembly in this kind of station. We are constituency. We are the one that voted you in. And then we say we don't want you again. Come back. Let's elect another person. And then you are not telling us we should carry the case back to you so that you determine maybe the senator to go or not. If the constitution should be amended in that respect. Thank you and God bless you.
All right then, thank you very much. Even if that is supposed to be the case, Evans, that is what we have on our hands.
The constitution is very academic on this issue of recall. Very academic, because what the constitution is trying to say is that the Senate constitutes the larger Nigeria. That's the idea, the intent, representative of. But most of the time, we find out that this representation, these people don't speak the minds of the larger society.
But that is exactly.
But that is the intentment. That's what I'm saying. I said
exactly.
the constitution is very academic at this level of.
Uche, therefore, this. Well, first of all, aren't we jumping the gun a bit?
Yeah.
It hasn't even, got there yet.
Yes.
This is not, first of all, as you pointed out, it wasn't even intended that the court should be involved in all of this,
right.
but then
That's
they've been dragged into
Yeah.
it. Can they now go against, well, everything depends on if they can ascertain that those were real signatures. That's why a verification.
Yes.
So if the evidence is flawless, the National Assembly's hands would actually be tied, right?
Well, it still depends on what you mean by being flawless. This thing has stages.
I'm saying that what the National Assembly will have to review will be all the processes.
That's right.
And I'm saying that if all of this is flawless, then there's nowhere for them to go.
That is the way it should be, ordinarily.
But you're still not sure.
Ideally, that's the way it should
sure.
be. You see, this still goes down to the issue of institutions and growing our democracy. This thing we are saying, it is the way it is in other countries' constitution, and it's working for them. Like in U.S., in other places, they have provision for recall of even judicial officers. In the U.S., they recall judicial officers. But you see the thing, because of the perfect system there, the institutions of government, it works. So this thing we are still saying here still boils down to the issue of strengthening institutions, where it will work without minding like that we are putting the issue of National Assembly interest above national interest.
Thank you. Now, it goes back to what Yakub, who called in, said. As far as Yakub is concerned, he thinks the Constitution should be changed. He would like to see the Constitution changed
at
in
that level.
regard.
It was part of the amendment process raised some time ago.
Yes.
That part should be taken away. If the people have spoken, who voted him.
Exactly.
Because it has to do with the registered voters of that who brought him in. If they have spoken, then the Constitution shouldn't create a blockage.
You see, because those who authored the Constitution, I don't know if they were Nigerians or not. Because there's a way we go about our stuff in Nigeria, political or otherwise. So to come and tell me that something works in the US, it works in UK, it works in all these places, that's a different kind of democracy.
Yes.
They've had all these centuries maybe of democracy, maybe at least decades and decades and decades of democracy.
Yes.
Here we are, we're babies in democracy. So what they took for granted over there, our people would just tear that up and say, it doesn't mean.
It's because,
if you understand my Nigerianism,
over there,
it doesn't mean.
The interest of the people is far, far above whatever institution.
Thank you very much.
Over there, because, you know, look at Trump's case when he came up and the court told him that you can't do this.
Okay. Samson in Warri, good morning.
Good morning, Professor Uncle.
Okay then.
Good morning, our guest in the studio.
Good morning.
Well, Uncle, in this case, it's very simple. This is Nigeria. Get right. Most of these things we always discuss them. It will not fly. We discussed about police withdrawing from VIP. You remember 2 days ago or something. I told you, it will not fly. They will still come back. This is Nigeria for you. I'm telling you, see, so far, our constitution don't say, all these, our legislatures or something. They should have a reporting house. They don't report to anybody. Even the judiciary should bring out the case on the 28th as I said. They will still kick against it. Because they believe on their own. They will stick to it in-house. At the end of the day, it will not fly on glory. We are only just planning all these things underage. And also, I want to use this medium. Do you know why? I love that man. Do you know what I like to know, Melaye? Our Senate is full of character. I'm telling you, if you can know education psychology very well, big colleagues, sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic, they're all there. When Dino sings, Adeleke dance, Yayi shout, and Sonny give us our own sporadic way. He's like, so a lot of things. You know, my daughter told me one day, he said, sir, he said, my dad, who are these big men? They're always shouting as if they don't even know. This is our leader. I said, yes, this is our leader. So, Uncle Yori, this thing will not see the end of the day.
All right.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for coming in. This is a problem. People thinking that because it's in Nigeria, that's the whole point. That's how I want to phrase it. Because this is happening in Nigeria, it's not going to work.
A growing democracy.
That's the whole problem there. Even if we want to say, you know, give it the benefit of doubt, let's go to the process, we have a little recent history to look at. We know it's not child's play to recall anybody who has tried it before or impeach, more or less cousins of the same thing. Or impeach, for instance, a governor, impeach a legislator, impeach a president, all of which can be done, but people will say to you, in the book, it can be done on paper. Maybe also in other crimes. After all, we have independent prosecutors having to work with the president in the US. I don't know how that one is going to work here. Should we need such a thing? Yeah. So you see, all these processes that are part and parcel of democracy, we ourselves, we Nigerians seem to be saying that it's all right on the books. If you're going to write an exam, you better state it as it is on the book so that you can pass. But when you come out into the real world and want to practice politics, know that all that doesn't count for jack. That seems to be what's going on.
It seems to be the status quo. It seems to be what it is. Remember those advanced democracy you are talking about? A president will just wake up one day and resign. But can it happen here? I mean, there's a president, is it Mauritania or more?
Even the president before Prime Minister Theresa May.
Yes, the Prime Minister.
He gently, like a gentleman, left after losing that whole
another dimension I want to bring here is because of our values as people. You and I know, for instance, that if you want to go and obtain driver's license from road safety, you are supposed to undergo some training tests. But you and I know that it is not done here. All you need to do...
They test you.
They don't. Majority. No, they don't. No, majority.
Me, I had to do
majority.
Test. I mean, just to speak.
There are some people, unless you decide to choose it, but there are many that there have been issues with that.
Okay.
So you begin to see,
in fairness,
all those
what
things
you're saying is that the Nigerian way is not strange to most of us.
It's not, yes. It pervades the entire strata of the society, which we all know, which is not good or anywhere.
Okay, it's not good, but here we are living in it, and we say it's not business as usual. We say we want a new Nigeria. We say we want spiritual rebirth in this country, and yet we are confirming to ourselves that those processes that work against parochial individual interests will not work. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
And good morning to you.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, Yakub has said it all. How do you expect somebody who is being recalled to be the final decision maker of that recall? It just cannot work. Those who initiated that clause in the Constitution were the ones that caused it. And I'm sure it's the lawmakers themselves. What I expect INEC to do is to initiate an amendment to that law so that it can become workable. If Nigeria were to be where public officials have shame, the fact that the constituents of a lawmaker have initiated a recall is enough for that person to even resign. It automatically says that you are no longer their legal representative. All else is just intellectual struggles. But here, this three-type syndrome is the order of the day. If somebody will outlive the usefulness, he will still be insisting that he is the best person for the job. So INEC should initiate an amendment to that constitution as a matter of urgency. Otherwise, they shouldn't start wasting money on any recall process. It just be a waste of money.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Everything, so far, the way people have spoken, the Constitution is lacking in an essential ingredient that would further the aims of democracy and accountability. Because the guys who actually voted him in said we've had a rethink, but what we're saying is that the lie of the ground is that your rethink is going nowhere.
It has not been established.
We have to also establish that it is the people
who voted
it's
presumably.
That is true. Sign those petitions.
So in the interest of fairness, this is where we must look at both sides.
Yes.
You know, say, look, number one, were those actually real people that signed? Since we have seen on our registers before in this country names like Mike Tyson, if you remember, you know, all sorts of funny sort of things.
And again, concerning the political crisis in that state involving the governor.
And
so you have to take all those.
And he is saying it's a witch hunt. Don't forget that.
Then there another question: who is mobilizing this recall process?
Who is mobilizing it? That's how they went and said that Senator Dino Melaye is involved in gun running. The man has said that it is his enemies, and his detractors.
It's not easy to gather all those signatures. Who is providing the logistics and the fund?
But if it is clear and it's established, the National Assembly owe the people the responsibility to do the needful, to do the right thing.
Exactly. That is the
swore to an oath to that effect.
Indeed.
That's what
Peter in Jalingo, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. My greetings to you and your guests.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay, so my take on this is that this is democracy in progress. I would have loved this process to go through so that to test that particular clause in our constitution, how whether it will get through or not. But for me, I would have loved it to go through so that we know the outcome of it. It will help us to correct or to amend in future when such case come up. But one, I disagree with your last caller that says that it is enough for Dino Melaye to step down. For me, I believe that this is Kogi politics. This is politics in Kogi that brought in order. I believe that this political motivated. This cause because Dino Melaye and the governor have issues. So each one of them would like to put the other out of the way. But I would have loved this particular thing to distance to this so that we know the outcome.
Yeah.
To correct it, to help us that Nigeria and our democracy also. It will put a way forward to us. Sure, thank you.
All right. All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. So we're looking at the possible outcome. On one hand, if you weren't a Nigerian and were just reading the Constitution, you would think that it's anybody's game. You don't really know where it's going to land. But what we seem to be saying is that, well, being Nigerians and having lived here and understanding our ways, I don't see how that particular horse is going to jump. That seems to be what we're saying now. But is there, are we saying it is absolute that continuing further from here is a waste of time? I don't know.
No, that's not.
I don't know that is the case.
That's not the conclusion.
That's not the case.
Because the court has already ordered that INEC continue the process.
But if at the end of the day, Mr. Dino Melaye, that has been dancing on social media, ridiculing everything concerning him, showing himself with ostentatious, vehicles, in short, carrying on more like a film star than a politician, I don't know. All of
subject to the people who put him there to decide, and that's the process that's ongoing.
Exactly.
In a sense, so if they say, okay, that kind of attitude is unbecoming of a senator from there, they're already there. Now, whether they were instigated or not is a question we're discussing here. And so that has to continue. Let's see how it plays out, because if he's going to appeal, as he said, then you're also going to store the April 28 issue, for which they are supposed to undertake the process and continue.
Monday, that's the name. Monday in Iyagba in Kogi State. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me contribute on this matter. We know we are on ground. We know what is happening. Dino is more closer to us than every of the Kogi. I'm going to tell you fact. But this is politically motivated. I would have loved if that clause in the National Assembly and everything would be changed. But to be sincere, if it is changed, other places, I don't know what happened in that place, but we are on ground. We know what is happening. We know what transpired between the senator and the state government. So, you see, this is the reason why some of us will not support that clause to be removed. Because it can be used by the state against who they wouldn't want. See, and that is exactly what is happening with state police, that some of us don't want to believe in state police. Because they can use it against anybody that is not ready to work with them. Dino, as far as we are concerned, is the most and the most performing senator we have in Kogi State. Check it. So as far as I'm concerned, this thing will not see the light of the day, because I know very well that there are many people on that list that did not are there. We know them. We stay with them. We live with them. We saw part of those things. It was all manipulated.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Monday. We're going to break now. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll be right back to continue with this conversation. Welcome back. Still in the studio with Uche Ono and Evans Ufeli, lawyers both. And we're looking at the train, shall we say, the slow-moving train of, shall we say, the whole recall process of Senator Dino Melaye. Where we're at now is that signatures have been gathered, but there's still a lot of processes. And in particular, our attention has been drawn to Section 68, subsection 2, which means that everything at the end of the day has to come back to the National Assembly and for them to give effect to it. And those are, it's there that we've said that that might be the biggest knot to untie. That right there. People are saying that, how do you want his colleagues to let one of them, I think they see it as 4. They don't see it as being legitimately recalled by his people. So legitimately or not, they have to give assent to the whole matter. And it's not just so much that they're wielding power, but well, not so much cover. What they will be doing is reviewing all the processes, I imagine, and ascertaining that there was fairness. Now, to be sure, this is right, you know, for balance. The gentleman who just called in, Monday who just called in, he's given us his own perspective that, you know, all of this is politics. But politics or not, this whole principle that the people with the ultimate power is the ordinary man, that is individual vote, multiply it by millions, and that becomes the power. If this guy says no, what is happening now is that it's going to be brushed away, and that's what we have for now. No option.
The Constitution should have been structured in such a way that after the referendum, they should go to court to determine the veracity. So the court will not be an independent umpire in this. But it's structured the other way around, that after the process, you come back to the National Assembly.
Can you imagine?
You understand? So that would have been a safer way. When after the process, you now move to court, then let the court look at the process and look at what INEC have done, whether it complies with the Constitution. That's how it should be.
Exactly, that's how it should be. But then, it's been inverted.
Yeah, but then it's not, because to cure mischief, whether this is instigated by political brigandage, that is why it has to come to INEC for that, to National Assembly by that section of the law.
Because the National Assembly is politically neutral?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I said that is why it should. They should have used the court at that stage.
Okay. Mr. Jackson in Ajah, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to comment on the issue of Dino Melaye's recall.
Yes.
You were talking about Dino Melaye dancing on the TV. Yeah. For me, is not even as worse as senators sitting down in the House chamber sleeping. Do you realize that some of our senators sleep? They just sit down there and they sleeping. It is not as worse as that. To me, anyway, to my opinion, Dino Melaye is one of the most outspoken senators in the chamber, and I just always enjoy him because he comes up with sensitive issues and says it directly. You know, when you're talking of politics in Nigeria, you need to include the bad belly people. Include it. Like you were talking of resignation of the former Prime Minister in Britain. Those are mature people who knows how to play clean politics without sentiment, without greed. But here in Nigeria, the case is different. We have greedy men who are. Look at Nigeria is 57 today, I mean 58. Look, it is the elite, it is the educated ones that have put Nigeria in the situation that it is today. It is not the poor masses. It is the people we call the elite who went to school, studied abroad, collected the PhD, LLB, blah, 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 blah. They came back, they commit a lot of havoc in this country. They sit down, connive with the lawyer, the politicians connive with the lawyer, as they are sitting there, they know what I'm talking about. So we turn things upside down, collect money, build houses,
people will come and prostrate for them. They don't allow justice to prevail, and they will still come back to sit on the front of television to comment. A lot of them who have been in the president, like our former president Obasanjo, after doing what he wanted to do, he now comes to seem to come and stand like he's standing with the people. He must have committed all sort of things, and now he's with the people because he's no more in position. So these are the things that are going on. Dino Melaye's reform might be as a result of bad belly, or maybe there are certain things that he doesn't understand, it doesn't go well with between him and the government. That doesn't mean that is the voice of the people.
Okay.
It is the voice of bad belly.
Okay.
Bad belly is not the people. It is people who doesn't want to see you, who doesn't want you to be in the position that you are. They just want to get you out.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. And to be sure, we must factor in fairness. Whether it is the signatories against Dino Melaye, you must be fair to the signatories, you must be fair to Dino Melaye.
Yes.
And therein is the rub. That's where the rub really is. And now, as Mr. Jackson has just said, for all you know, there might be a lot wrong with the whole process. Because, as he said, well, he seems to be implying that he is sure it's all political. We'll see where all of this is going. It's not an easy thing, especially as we have to. And well, you lawyers tell us that laws are generally administered and constructed and written and all of that in a way where if it is going to be that 99 guilty persons have to go free for one blameless person to not be punished, so be it. That lacuna in there. The law seems to allow it. Ifeanyi in Victoria Island, good morning, sir. Is it a man?
Good morning.
Oh, yes. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Please go ahead.
Yeah, am I talking to, is that TM?
Yes, you are speaking to the program This Morning on TVC.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Ivy. Yeah, I want to contribute on the issue of Dino Melaye.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Senator Melaye, to my own understanding, is not one of the Nigerian politicians. Because Senator Melaye is a raw politician.
No abusive words, please. Senator Dino Melaye is a senator of the Federal Republic. Look, he was... No. Please, sir. You can't be abusive. You can make your point, but don't call him raw.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not like one of the politicians we have in town. He goes direct to the West, and yeah, the issue with Senator Melaye is a political issue.
Okay. All right. Go on. Oh, so that's it. Well, first of all, he, said, something on...
Raw. He implied he's direct.
On his side.
It's on Dino Melaye's side.
Yes, but when he said raw politician, was that a compliment?
He implies that he speaks his mind. He speaks direct to issues.
Oh, that's what he meant by raw. So it was a compliment.
Yeah, compliment.
Oh, well, okay. There you go. If being raw is a compliment, you see, this is Nigeria again. This is Nigeria again. You call somebody a raw politician somewhere else, the man might be heading to court. But in other jurisdictions, that's a compliment.
It depends on what you understand by raw.
The
context.
So, but what is
raw? Is it abusive? It's not.
Okay. It's not. Okay.
It's like a total person, like someone who is direct on issues.
Down to earth.
Down to earth. That's what he meant.
Down to earth.
Okay. That being the case, sir.
That
being the case, sir, I withdraw my admonition. Compliment as much as you want, sir.
He further entrenched.
Please compliment as much as you want. Since I've now been advised that you were actually complimenting him, as is your right to do. But you see, now, some people are saying he's the best politician that Kogi has seen. Somebody has called in to say that the most is performing the best. And so that's their perspective. So those kind of people will be wondering, where are these signatures coming from? Are you sure this whole thing was not,
In fairness to the distinguished senator, you and I sitting down here, I'm sure if we're asked to name the other two senators from that state, we might not be able. Because none of them makes as much as impact as he does. I mean, if the other senator from
impact
Kogi,
for doing what?
In terms of speaking out on national issues.
I see.
You give that to him.
Okay.
Certain things that have been, exposed in the government, business of government, has always come from him.
Okay.
That will not take away from him.
No, you can't.
Now, another point I want to make. There is
sorry, before you go there, sir, Zanma is on the line. Good morning, Zanma. In Maiduguri, Zanma in Maiduguri. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Good morning, and yes, sir.
Sure.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just want to contribute a little to your topic
Lovely.
on the recall of Melaye.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you clearly see Melaye's focus on social media. The way he does things is just not appropriate for a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But I seriously want this process to proceed because it will serve as a lesson to most of our senators there, of course. But I seriously don't have confidence in the process because when you look at the Constitution properly, it says that the Senate will have the final say about the recall process. And when you clearly see, Melaye and the leadership of the Senate, they are on the same party. And when I say they are on the same party, you know what I'm trying to say.
They're on the same page. Both of them are on the same page.
Yeah, they're on the same page.
In terms of support for each other.
Yeah, they are all on the same page, as you say. So, and how do you expect, I honestly don't expect the Senate to, rule in favor of the electorate of his constituency.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much for calling in. He's just an interesting point he makes that he doesn't expect the National Assembly to rule in favor of the referendum. But they will be the first up in arms if anybody were to say that whatever the people have said in terms of an electoral or what they call process that somehow affects them. They will be up in arms against why the people have spoken. The people have given me the mandate. But now this mandate, if you want to call it that, once it is verified and ascertained to be genuine, because those are the, those are the things that we have to worry about. And quite frankly, whether or not the distinguished senator's antics on social media are appropriate, to Senator of the Federal Republic or not. Well, it's his prerogative, freedom of action, freedom of speech, and freedom of whatever. But it's just that all of it adds up, and perhaps that's why some people are thinking that, yeah, it's about time. But sorry, I don't know that anybody put any laws as to how a senator shall conduct himself in public. If he wants to dance Kelewu on social media, so be it.
Well, they are honorable. They are supposed to be seen above board. They are supposed to have certain kind of conduct that will depict, nobility, given that they are public office holders.
Well,
that is administratively and morally couched.
Maybe ethics. From an ethical
because they
point
also
of
have
view.
Rules of ethics in the house.
Yeah, well, they do.
You
they
understand?
Do.
So there are certain conduct that is unbecoming of a senator.
Yeah, but they will have to invoke it from inside there. And who is going to invoke him that you can't be dancing on social media? And
that is exactly what I'm saying. And
but
as regards his own case, his people will have to decide.
Yes, they have to decide. But let us face it, he wasn't the first to start dancing. President Obasanjo has danced. He dances Kelewu. So let us just put everything in perspective.
Senator from Osun.
And the senator from Osun. Who do we have on the line? Anybody else there? Is someone on the line? Mazi Okoro for Inaru Chukwu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. What is happening in Kogi State is happening everywhere. Either the governor is fighting with the House of Rep member or a senator. Recording is not a new thing. So that in Nigeria, governor dictates how the president should go, and they are forgetting that no condition is permanent. Whenever find yourself today, tomorrow you may be somewhere else. We have to be very careful whatever we are doing because what we are doing now is especially also because investors supposed to come to a place where the atmosphere is what? Very, very conducive for everybody to do that. Right? It's in the hands of God, not with anybody. Thank you very much. Have a blessed and a fruitful weekend.
Indeed, thank you very much. Now, we all think we know where this is going because everybody has been saying that because the National Assembly has the final say, it's not going to work. But we don't know that. It's just that we don't know that for sure.
Yes.
But it's just that in all probability, it seems to be what we're saying, in all probability. But let's wait for the time. There might be a falling out between Dino Melaye and the Assembly and the Senate by the time that comes around. We don't know. But I guess we just can't say none of this is going to work. Yeah, we're making educated sort of projections based on our experiences. But still, the day hasn't come. After all, Buhari and his team are here based on the fact that he said it's not going to be business as usual. And so we took him on. Yeah. Mr. Sunday in Abeokuta this time. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I want to comment on this recall on Dino Melaye.
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I want to comment on this Dino Melaye and his recording saga. I believe that Dino Melaye is one of our active senators in this dispensation. But the problem now is the political saga between the governor and the senator is causing all this fine, all right. But the problem now is when all these processes, the poll, everything has been made, and you still go and table these things on the table of these people. I believe these people, they are one in this house, in this their chamber. They are one. They love one another. That thing cannot see the light of the day. Let's just be factual with ourselves. So,
okay, well, so that gentleman in Abeokuta introduced the element of love into the Senate. That's a new one. Because I don't think the word love appears in the Constitution throughout, from beginning to end.
It couldn't be far away from the truth.
This love, Mr. Esprit de corps is not love. Esprit de corps is esprit de corps.
Well, they have
I was just joking. That's not a serious
they have
point.
a way to bond.
It's a scratch my back, I'll scratch your back kind of a thing. I will stand by you, and you will stand by us, and that kind of a thing.
That will even open a floodgates for other people to start making the issue of recovery. So that's why such things, they don't encourage it. If it should succeed, it means the process.
Who's in charge now?
People are now, other constituents will now open eyes to come out. You open a floodgates.
Okay, gentlemen. So who is now in charge?
It's the people that are
it's
in
the
charge.
people.
From
the
the eyes
sovereignty
of the
belongs
law.
to the people.
We the people.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the people.
And they still represent the people. Representative
And
of the people.
and the legislators are representing the people.
They are representative of the people.
Representative of the people.
Okay.
So that is why they are to give effect to it.
Okay.
Yeah, except that the effect they have to give to it, they have to be honest.
Olawale in Abule-Egba, good morning. Olawale in Abule-Egba, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, am I on to PM?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alawale from Abule. Okay, great. Okay. I want to comment on the recall of Dino Melaye.
Mr. Lawale, you've spent 60 seconds saying nothing so far. Go ahead, please, now.
Yeah, what I want to say is that until our leaders are selfless in the service that they have been elected to for, I don't think this country will move forward. Because almost everything they do, there is this element of selfishness in it.
Yes,
now, there is nothing wrong with Dino Melaye, but the recall in actual sense, how do you make somebody that has been accused a judge over what he has been accused of?
Meaning his colleagues in the Senate. You mean by that his colleagues in the Senate?
Yes, his colleague in the Senate. I mean, there is no way they will bring that case back to them, and there will be a sympathy vote for him.
All right. All right, then. Is that it? Thank you very much for calling in. Yeah, so more of the same, that Nigerians are waiting to see how this will work, given that we understand ourselves. And they are emphasizing, and what they are emphasizing at is that these ones in the National Assembly, these ones in the Senate in particular, are a tight bond. And this is part of the whole problem that the Tinubu committee has to work with, so that everybody can be seen to be working together for the same purpose. How this is going to happen, it remains to be seen. It's not an impossible task, but how do they do it such that things begin to work normally again? Right now, it seems like the Senate is in lockdown by this particular example. It's not going to go the way the whole body of the law wants it to go, or prescribes. The way the national, the electorate, none of that is going to happen simply because he's one of our guys, is what the Senate is going to say.
But let us not preempt the Senate and conclude that the Senate must do wrong. Let's not conclude that. Let's allow them to undertake the process. Let's watch the process. And let's analyze according to facts and evidence.
But you will be very, very surprised if the Senate were to rubber stamp, or shall we say, pass the motion, everything coming. You'd be very, very surprised.
If the evidence and if the process has been complied with,
yes,
and they deem it fit,
yes,
and then pass it on,
yes,
then we'll give them kudos for that.
Okay.
But then, if
you're not holding your breath.
If the process, is actually not transparent,
yes,
and they decide not to pass it, they decide not to take it on,
then no problem.
No problem.
No problem.
But if the process is transparent, good and okay, and they decide to stop it,
so that is where.
Then,
So that is why I am saying, Uche, that the evidence has to be spotless, immaculate.
Of course.
And if that is not the case, then they have to show to us.
Oh yeah, they have to.
That clearly.
So they are men of integrity.
There are problems here.
And don't forget.
If, for instance, someone just spoke into my ear and said. Did I hear Eyimba? Well, it sounded like Oyin. Hello, good morning. Oyimba.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yomi.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Yomi, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Very good to have you. Thank you for calling in.
Okay. I want to comment on Senator Dino Melaye.
Sure.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yomi, Senator Dino Melaye and representing Kogi West and Senator Ike Eforemadu representing Enugu West. These two senatorial districts are the best, most represented senatorial districts in the whole Nigeria. If Dino Melaye is not in Senate, and another senator called Ike Eforemadu is not in the Senate, I want to tell you that somebody like me will stop watching activities of the Senate. These two gentlemen, Ike Eforemadu and Dino Melaye, are the most robust representative of their various senatorial districts. Essentially, one is representing Enugu West, the other one is representing Kogi West. I want to now particularly talk about Dino Melaye. Dino Melaye, he is being persecuted because of the inactivities of his governor. The governor of Kogi State actually have nothing to offer. Look at his activities on the issue of Fulani X-Men. Okay, what is happening in Kogi State now? Traditional rulers, a man and a wife, they are being killed. The governor has nothing to offer. We only notice that some people are committing suicide in his state. The governor has nothing to offer.
All right, then. Okay.
When you watch, when you watch the plenary section of the Senate, what Dino Melaye comment. What Dino Melaye, what he is saying, is a constructive senator.
Okay.
That man ought not to be recalled in any way and in any manner.
All right, then. Thank you very much. I've got to interrupt you now simply because we've run out of time, but we heard you loud and clear. And interestingly, we've heard from both sides of the divide. More than a few callers called in to say that Senator Dino Melaye is an excellent chap. He's doing a fantastic job, and all of this is political witch hunting, especially relating to his problems with his governor. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, there are those who are saying, let this whole process continue as per what the people, the signatories, asked for. But then again, we'll see how all of that is going to go. We've completely run out of time, but I want to thank you, Uche Onu and Evans Ufeli. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming and giving your perspective, and especially explaining to us about the Section 68, subsection 2, that must be read in conjunction with 69 that follows it. You have to draw back. Go and read that one first. Okay, so that's our program. Well, we don't do Saturdays or Sundays, so the next time we'll be seeing will be Monday, God willing. I'll see you then. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.